This is CBN Newswatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm George Thomas. Well, folks along the East Coast are getting ready for a cold and wet winter as winter storm warnings are in effect for several states. From the deep south all the way to New England, a massive storm system is set to bring rain and several inches of snow. By the way, the National Weather Service has issued flash flood watches in parts of Mississippi, central Alabama, and central Georgia today. The area has already been suffering extreme flooding from the Mississippi River, where some residents, well, they still can't get back into their homes. While for the north here in Virginia and surrounding states, well, we are expecting to get up to a half a foot of snow. Yay! For cities such as Norfolk, Virginia, and Charlotte and Raleigh, North Carolina, this will be the first time snow of 1 inch or greater will stick since 2018. Way too long. AccuWeather meteorologist Justin Povick has the latest forecast. Take a look.
Now we have snow making its move throughout the state of North Carolina. Here's what we typically see during the season, such as around Greensboro, a little over 7.5 inches. You make your move further off to the south and the east, and typically the amounts throughout the season, of course, go down. Well, we are looking at active winter storm warnings out, especially from I-95 on eastbound, and this is including portions of the Sandhills as well as the coastal plain of North Carolina. Additionally, some winter storm warnings out over the higher terrain as we talk about the Smokies. So already some snow throughout the mountainous terrain over western North Carolina from Asheville to Boone. And we're going to be talking about the rain transitioning over to some wet snow as we work our way throughout the day, especially later on today into northeastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia. Here's a bit of a timeline later on this evening. Again, the rain mixing with the snow, but going over to snow later on today. So again, for this evening, cities such as Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and into northeastern North Carolina near Rocky Mount, points north and eastbound. Even some of the northern Outer Banks will experience this wet snow. Here's a look at again this evening, and you'll see again the rain mixing with changing to snow in and around Raleigh, especially off to the east. What's happening is our storm's intensifying. It's pulling down some of the cooler air, and as we lose that sun angle, the sun goes down, we'll start to see that potential for some of the roads to become slick and hazardous, and that continues here throughout the overnight hours. In terms of snow amounts, again, looking at several inches over the higher terrain, especially about 3,000 feet here over western North Carolina, extreme eastern portions of Tennessee. Additionally, later on this evening, early tonight, highest amounts, again, just east of Raleigh along and east of Interstate 95. As we're going to be talking about several inches here, the AccuWeather local storm max at 8 inches. And yes, the slick spots will continue as we venture our way right into your Friday morning. Back over to you.
Thank you, Justin. We move to political news where Mike Bloomberg, well, he got a big beatdown in Las Vegas last night. The 5 other candidates ganging up on the new guy as well as tearing into each other. So who emerged from this brutal brawl as the winner? My colleague Jenna Browder reports.
The gloves came off quickly last night in Nevada. The Democratic candidates wasting no time going after newcomer Michael Bloomberg.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
The billionaire who spent millions of his own dollars on campaign ads, hitting back and training his focus on President Trump.
I'm a New Yorker. I know how to take on an arrogant con man like Donald Trump.
Bloomberg apologized for the controversial policy known as stop and frisk, which he defended as New York's mayor.
I've sat, I've apologized, I've asked for forgiveness. There is no great answer to a lot of these problems. And if we took off everybody that was wrong on off this panel, everybody that was wrong on criminal justice at some time in their careers, there'd be nobody else up here.
He also took hits over alleged discriminatory and sexist comments made to women who worked for him.
We are not going to beat Donald Trump with a man who has who knows how many non-disclosure agreements and the drip, drip, drip of stories of women saying they have been harassed and discriminated against. That's not what we do as Democrats.
It's easy. All the mayor has to do is say, you are released from the non-disclosure agreement, period.
The frontrunner Bernie Sanders, who's surging in national polls, also fielded a fair amount of attacks. the candidate forced to defend his socialist health care and economic policies.
I believe in democratic socialism for working people, not billionaires, health care for all.
You don't start out by saying, I've got 160 million people, I'm going to take away the insurance plan that they love.
Pete Buttigieg taking it to both the frontrunner and the newcomer.
Let's put forward somebody who's actually a Democrat. Look, we shouldn't have to choose between one candidate who wants to burn this party down and another candidate who wants to buy this party out.
The former South Bend, Indiana mayor clashed several times with Amy Klobuchar, once for not knowing the name of Mexico's president.
Are you trying to say that I'm dumb, or are you mocking me here, Pete?
I'm saying that you shouldn't trivialize
I made an error.
And former Vice President Joe Biden, who's slipping in the polls, spent the night defending his record.
I'm the only one on this stage that actually got anything done on health care. Okay?
The Nevada caucus is Saturday, but early voting is already underway. From there, the candidates will head to South Carolina for that state's primary and another debate. Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Jenna, thank you so much. For decades, black voters have been a key voting bloc within the Democratic Party. An overwhelming majority chose Democratic presidential candidates in the past. But a new movement of African Americans leaving is called Blexit, and they are leaving the party. Danielle Robinson is state director for Blexit, North Carolina. She joins me now to explain more about this movement. So, Blexit, what is that?
So many of us know Blexit from Candace Owens, and we have Pierre Wilson, who is the founder of the chapter concept, of which I'm the state director of North Carolina. Blexit originally started as the black exit from the Democratic Party, but it's developed into something much bigger. It is now something of much more service to the black community and the Christian community, which is standing up against social pressures to inform and also be the wake-up call about voting our values.
Yeah, you know, Danielle, you know this as much as anybody else. Previous elections have been all of this. A lot of predictions about there could be this movement, as you mentioned, away from the Democratic Party. It hasn't happened thus far. Is this year different?
This year is different because every year we've needed to do it. Every year the black community has needed to discuss, are we seeing the changes that we're looking to see in our community? Mm-hmm. And if not, what's the alternative course? So this year is going to be different because there's a group of us that are young and African American that are stepping up and saying, hey, we need to start questioning what's going on and looking at how we analyze campaigns and candidates better to make better decisions for ourselves and our community and for those of us who are Christian.
Yeah, I'm curious, you know this, that the majority of some of the largest cities in our country are run by Democratic leaders. Are folks beginning to ask within these communities, is there a different alternative, a viable alternative to the Democratic Party?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're beginning to ask, but a group of us, such as those that are in Blexit, our chapters are popping up, Tennessee, North Carolina, Texas. We're asking the question. We're saying, hey, we need to be asking. And it's asking our community those questions that are starting to get people to think, you know what, things have not changed. It's not what we want. And it's not the direction that we want for our community. And our children.
Yeah, the president likes to tout quite often that black unemployment under his administration is at historic low. Does that factor into the polls in terms of support maybe growing for him this time around?
So when you look at the polls, there is some growth. Yeah. But when you look at the maybe overwhelming growth or that may have been expected for what he's done, well, I will say the black community, we're still a little bit suspect. We're still a little bit trying to determine, okay, even though we've seen these gains in our community and they're undeniable, does that mean that it's safe to begin being open to another way of voting, another way of analyzing candidates and analyzing what side, whether it's red or blue, liberal or conservative? We're still trying to work through that. And as Blake said, that's what we're doing. We're having the conversations in communities. We're looking to have the conversations in churches. We're looking to say, hey, this is the time that we sort this out.
Yeah. As you have been having this conversation in these various venues, are you getting any backlash personally for standing up and going against the stream? All the fish are going in one direction. folks are going in another direction. Some are. Are you facing any backlash?
There's a lot of backlash. I mean, I have seen where, on my Facebook, people have put, dancing coons, and we've got other people that are part of our chapters that have stories as well. Sometimes the holidays were very difficult for us. Most of the backlash has been people trying to even understand why we're attempting this. And once we kind of partner with them, that it's a good question to ask, and it's a good, that's the inroads that we're making, because at the end of the day, every community, every value that you have, you want to see that advanced. And when it's not advancing, that's where we're saying, hey, you see this? Let's talk about it. And what do we do about it?
Yeah, real quickly, 30 seconds. Is this going to be a public movement, or is this something that's going to happen quietly?
Well, it's not going to happen quietly, because right now, if you look at where we're at politically, it's time to be making noise, and the noise for change is now. And Blexit, we have full plans. If you even look at our leader, Candace, we have full plans to grow and to have the conversation and to be vocal about it, and kind of encourage others as well.
Okay, terrific. Daniel, thank you so much for your insights on it. She is with the group Blexit out of North Carolina. Thank you again. I appreciate it. Well, folks, for more political news and analysis, be sure to catch Faith Nation this evening. As always, you can watch it right here on the CBN News channel. Overseas, meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Saudi Arabia today. Pompeo's visit with King Salman is focused on discussing shared security concerns surrounding the Islamic Republic of Iran. Pompeo also said he'll be talking with Saudi leadership about human rights and the cases of Saudi American citizens who are either imprisoned or barred from traveling abroad. During his visit to the country, he also made a stop at a Saudi airbase, which is home to 2,500 U.S. troops. Coming up, a look at a new documentary film on the Free Burma Rangers and how they are saving lives worldwide. But before we go to the break, here's a look at what's trending right here on CBNNews.com.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN Newswatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God, even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening. My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
Welcome back, folks. You are watching the CBN News channel. When trouble comes, do you run away or head straight into the middle of this danger? For more than 20 years, David Eubank and members of the Free Burma Rangers have risked their lives running into combat zones to rescue suffering people. Now their story is being told in a new documentary out in theaters next week. On this week's episode of The Global Lane, Eubank explained why he did the film.
We wanted to tell the story, what has God done through us and in spite of us. Who are the beautiful people all over the world, from every culture and tribe and race and religion that God made? They're awesome. Get to know them. We want to show the miracles God has done, again, through weak, imperfect, simple people like us and our friends. And there's no other kind that I know of. There's a lot better people than us, but even the best people are not perfect. But God uses us anyway. You don't have to give up. And I want people to see the Karen people of Burma, the other people of Burma, as we see them. It's lovely, wonderful people deserving to be free. We should stand with them. I want them to see Iraqis, as I learned, are wonderful people. They're not our enemies. And to see how God brings us together.
The host of the Global Lane, my man, Gary Lane, is here with more on Dave Eubank and the Free Burma Rangers. So for those who don't know about the FBR group, explain what they are and what do they do?
Well, you've spent time with them in Syria. Yeah. I've also spent time with them in Thailand. David Eubank started this group about over 20 years ago. But what they do is they go into combat zones in places. They started in Burma. They've been in Iraq and Syria and also Sudan. And what they do is they go into these combat zones. They rescue people who are injured, people who are sick, people who need help. And they also provide relief for them. But they get them out and they have medics that treat them in the field.
The group is called Free Burma Rangers.
Yes.
Can I assume that perhaps the organization got founded back in Burma?
Yes.
Formerly known as Myanmar?
Yes, and how that started, George, is Eubank, when he was a child, he was a missionary kid. His parents were in Thailand. And they hosted some Wa ethnic people from Burma. And they saw David's picture on the wall dressed in his uniform as an Army Ranger. And they said, boy, we could use someone like that coming in, a soldier like that, to help us against the Burmese government. And guess what? They didn't realize that this not only was a U.S. Army soldier, Special Forces, former, but also a soldier of Christ. So he came in and helped them provide relief and also not just material, but also spiritual relief.
As you mentioned, I've worked with him in a number of places around the world, but he doesn't do this work all by himself. In fact, he takes his family with him into the middle of the danger zone.
That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. And you've met Karen, his wife, and his children. But, you know, George, he doesn't really take them into the danger zone, I mean, into combat. I mean, we've seen that famous footage of him rescuing the little Iraqi girl. They weren't there beside him as he was doing that. He's not going to put them in harm's way. But he feels that they are called by God as well. All of them would say that. They're a family. They're all missionaries, and they go in to help people, and that's what they do. So he will bring them out of the war zone, and they will tend to them and help them.
What are some of their most memorable moments in the field?
Probably the Iraqi girl that David rescued during the battle for Mosul. You saw that video on our news programs here. You'll also see it on the Global Lane. But you know, I think the hardest thing for him, George, would be when he loses one of his team members. And he's lost them
this year.
Yes, in Syria, also Iraq. He's also lost them in Burma, and that's the hardest. Although he will say, look, I know they're with Jesus now. I think maybe even harder for him would be losing people who don't know Christ. And that's happened to him as well in Iraq and Syria, Burma as well.
Yeah, you can watch the rest of Gary's interview with David Eubank on tonight's episode of the Global Lane. As always, you can catch it right here on the CBN News Channel at 9:30 Eastern. Thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you.
Up next, how to raise godly children in a society where more and more young people are leaving the church.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Nepali Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. We live in a toxic culture that's poisoning our youth and drawing them away from the church. Studies show that 59% of millennials raised in the church have already left. Our Charlene Aaron takes a look at how some believe that trend can be turned around.
The moral and spiritual decline in today's culture is on the rise, especially among young people who don't have a biblical foundation and are searching for meaning in life. Examples of the toxic culture abound, from the growing gender identity crisis to the lure of drugs, porn, and social media addiction.
The pressure of sex and drinking, so many things they are being bombarded with.
Pastor Brian Carter of Concord Church in Dallas says the fight for America's young people has never been greater.
It becomes incredibly important for parents and mentors and churches to stay heavily involved to give those young people safe places, models, healthy outlets, a place to process all they're dealing with.
Studies consistently show the number of millennials in church decreasing. Barna Research recently found that 59% of millennials raised in church have already left. It's a trend Pastor Carter and others hope to change.
The recent studies about millennials and Gen Z are a bit alarming because they do indicate it's the most unchurched generation. You have a generation of young people that are basically raising themselves and discovering their own spiritual identities.
That's why Carter and his congregation focus on helping youth relate to Scripture and even let them take the lead from time to time.
Psalms 86:11 says, "Teach me your ways, O Lord, that I may live according to your truth. Grant me purity of heart so I may honor you." God plays so many roles in our lives. And to me, this scripture advises us to look to God as a teacher and a mentor.
They want people to be involved, to coach them. It's crucial that churches begin to re-examine, how do I disciple this generation well? How do I help them to cultivate a love for God and a love for people? How do I help them to have their spiritual identity solid so that they don't run around and try to find their identity from something else?
Earlier this year, CBN News reported on a camp that does just that.
Youth are spiritually hungry. I mean, they really, really are.
Alex McFarland of Truth for a New Generation says parents and the church community must be ready to answer the tough questions young people have about religion.
Does truth exist? Does God exist? How can we know God exists? What about the Bible? Is the Bible true and trustworthy? What about Jesus?
Miki and Will Addison host a radio show called Airing the Addisons. They admit raising kids to love God can seem like an uphill battle, but say there is hope.
I often go, wait a minute, Gen Zers, these people are still eating at your table. You haven't lost them yet.
Even in their schools, you'll see where they have teachers, in colleges, universities, that are against what we believe, and they will be really bold about it. And I think our kids have to be equipped to withstand that, and not crumble under it.
This high school senior attended the camp for 2 years.
Especially in a public school, people around you aren't always the most Christian-like.
Meanwhile, church leaders are hopeful about the next generation as they seek to lead them in the way.
They are bold. They are courageous. They just need to be armed with the truth. They want to be a light in darkness, but we need to make sure that we pass on that light to them.
Over time, I think we'll be surprised by how this next generation takes this faith, uses technology, and reaches people that we never could reach before.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
After the break, a faith-filled moment at an American Idol audition is capturing attention. We'll bring you that story next.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
It was an emotional audition on ABC's American Idol when folks were brought to tears when one contestant asked the judges to pray with her. The network released a 9-minute-long story on Samantha Diaz, showing the hardships endured by the young performer. During her audition, Diaz was overcome with emotion and unable to perform. On her 3rd attempt, Diaz belted out Andra Day's Rise Up before tearfully thanking the judges and joining them in prayer. Take a look.
I'm so grateful that you guys even listened to me.
I'm so grateful that God put you in front of us, okay?
Can I pray with you guys? Is that okay?
Please,
sure,
whatever you want to do. Come
prayer
here.
that I want to do with you guys.
Come here.
So repeat after me. Heavenly Father.
Heavenly Father.
Lord, make my life brand new right here, right now.
Lord, make my life brand new right here, right now.
With my friends.
With my friends.
And my new fam.
And my new fam. Amen.
Can we go jump in the Potomac?
Come on there, Samantha. Way to go for you. Diaz did receive a golden ticket to Hollywood, where she will continue her journey. Well, folks, that is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We hope you'll join us again next time. From all of us here, have a great rest of your day. God bless.